Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to your morning watch list. Do appreciate you guys tuning in with me today. What we're going to do is run through penny stocks. We'll run through the large cap stocks. We'll run through the S&P 500, the Qs, pretty much give you guys everything you need to know about the market going forward today. So let's get started. All right, and first thing we'll do is start with the S&P because, again, if we're right or correct on SPY or Qs, then it'll pretty much set the stage for how most of your large cap stocks are going to move for the day. Okay, so here we are. As mentioned yesterday, we were probably going to see a red day in the market. Sure enough, we have a red day. And I did mention that you could really only anticipate more of a bigger drop in the market if we were to cross through the price point of about, it was a little less than 350, but maybe it was like 349 or something like that, 349.70s. So you can see that's right where the snap point was below that support. We went there first, we bounced, and then we came back, broke it, and then we ended up fading down. So that was the key level we were telling you to watch for the breakdown in the market, where you could take things a little bit more bearish on the day. Now, if we look at, say, the daily chart, or excuse me, 4-hour chart, the 4-hour chart is going to bring us into a level right at 340. So pretty much put it this way, the next low risk level to consider getting long on this market is going to be back down around 340. Is it going to get there today? Maybe. We'll see, but we're basically tracking this 4-hour trending support, and as this increases, that's where we're going to be looking to say we can put in a bounce on the market. Okay, so whether the bounce is 1 day, 2 days, goes back to all-time highs, again, it doesn't really matter to me, but we just know that that is where our low risk entry for the next long move is probably going to exist on the market. If in the event that's wrong, we have a level just below that too at 337. So there's a $3 differential or difference, excuse me, difference between those two levels. So this is really the zone that we're watching for that bounce move, anywhere from 340 to 337, but there will most likely be an actionable trade or move to start off this 340. Now, when we go look at the intraday chart, we'll go to a 1-minute chart. Does that $340 price target on the day exist within the intraday rules? It does, right there. So the price target we have on the downside for maybe a bounce today, it exists within our intraday channel respectfully. It's not like it's so far outside of our channel that it's impossible to reach. No, it actually makes logical sense that the markets can move down to 340 today and then maybe bounce. So that's pretty much the target that we'll be looking for on the downside today with this market SPY. And that's really all I have for you here on that. Now we're going to go take a look at the Qs. All right, going over the Qs. Now, Qs look a little bit different. Right now, we have crossed below the 4-hour support, and we are rejecting that now as resistance. So for now, unless the Qs can recover, 288.62, okay, unless they can get back over, sorry, 288, yeah, 288.62, 288.70s, unless they can actually get back over that and start really holding above that, we can't suggest being long right now on the Qs. And when we look at the daily chart doesn't really have any support all the way down until 276. So the Qs is a little bit harder to judge because the price targets are a little bit awkward. So we're kind of on standby with the Qs for now. The S&P 500 makes a little bit more sense to follow maybe today. I can get a better reading on that. But right now, unless the market's getting back up above, again, 288.69 on the Qs, we can't really suggest, trying to reverse a big long play there, unless it comes and drops down and hits one of our trending support levels around 281 to, say 284.29. Okay. Now what we're going to do is hopping on over to some penny stocks because why not? There hasn't really been any penny stock this morning that got me all geared up and excited. Looks like SUNW just hit the scanner. This has been a stock that's been trying to kind of pop a couple times recently, but it fails every single time. So not going to really put too much faith over here into SUNW. We had a run back here, then ended up crashing. Then we had a pop here, then ended up crashing. And none of these moves have been able to sustain their move into market open. They usually run pre-market, then they drop out. So SUNW has failed to continue holding momentum throughout pre-market into the actual trading day. So probably going to pass on that one. The other one that's moving today is SPI. Now, SPI was that stock that ran all the way to $46 not too long ago. Then it crashed all the way down. What we're seeing right now is a relief bounce from this big bearish downturning move, and we're starting to squeeze back up. Given how much it went up to, it went to 46 and crashed all the way down to 6. That's a 20-point difference, right? So from, 46, that's incorrect. From 46 to $6 down here, that's a $40 drop. So a 50% retracement of that bounce could put this back at, maybe, what is that, halfway. So you'd have to go back up to, like, say, 20. So it's possible you see SPI up to 20 if it does a 50% retracement bounce. Right now we have surpassed the 4-hour trending resistance. Okay, let me go show you. Boom, boom. You can see we have the 4-hour trending resistance right here. Okay. If you can actually get through that successfully, maybe it squeezes out a little bit more. We never really anticipate for these stocks to break out of these levels, but when they do, those are when the bigger moves can happen. So the more reliable trade has already happened, being long and then going up into this zone. And you can see as we've gotten up into those price targets, right, we kind of crept up, all the selling volume has started to increase a little bit. So as a whole, we are pretty high pre-market on SPI. We are at the 4-hour trending resistance. It's really hard to be long bias a stock at these prices. The patterns don't look all that great. It's really not on low risk supports. So nonetheless, we could watch. We're probably going to watch SPI today. Whether or not it turns into a big ripping move or just tanks, there's probably going to be some sort of move you can trade, whether you want to be a short trader or you want to be a reversal counter trend trader. There's going to be a move to be traded on this, whether it's a bounce off 1189, whether it's a bounce off 1030. There's probably a move you can trade. So anyways, SPI is a pretty popular stock this morning, has a lot of volume, but it has already reached significant resistance pre-market. And that pre-market resistance we're seeing is really the 4-hour long-term trending resistance. Okay. All right, we're going to move up here and we're going to take a look at STAF. So STAF is a penny stock that has been moving today. It's got pretty good volume all the way from after hours into pre-market trading. But the only problem is there's really no news on this stock. There's no reason why the stock is moving. And it's funny, I said that this morning that there's no reason for the stock to be moving. There's no news. And then I come down 3 news pieces later from Benzinga. Staffing companies are trading higher after hours, not seeing any company-specific news to justify the price action. So before I even read Benzinga's news alert, I even said there's no news to justify the price action. Here we are from Benzinga, no news to justify the price action. So this is something that if you're watching, I would be probably skeptical of, because most penny stocks like to move when they're news related. Anytime they're not news related movement, a lot of times it can be shakier, more questionable, or throw you for a big curveball. So if you don't have a big account, you haven't been trading for a while, you're probably best off just not even watching that one today. Or if you do, just take it with a grain of salt. Here's another one that I think just may have started moving, HBP, or at least I just first time seeing it. This had earnings not too long ago, and now it's starting to move. I really don't know much on this one. It doesn't appear like the volume's really all that high. Daily chart resistance, yeah. Again, I don't really see a lot of really good setups this morning. We've had this MDJH stock, hit our high a day scanner, but this is already fading out. Kind of looks like garbage. But hey, maybe it turns into something special. You have AVXL that hit my scanner earlier, but that's already fading out, looking like garbage now. So maybe that turns into something special. A couple other things to maybe be aware of. Johnson & Johnson is pausing their COVID-19 vaccine trial because of illness and patients that have been participating in the study. There's more news out there that I think France might be using martial law. I think Paris is going on curfew. COVID-19 cases are increasing again. The hospitalization rate in Colorado and Utah has skyrocketed. At least that's what we're hearing. So for what it's worth, I mean, that's in the market right now. I think if you were to go to, say, SPY and actually just look at the news, you'll see that. So let's see. Might have been there. Yeah, I mean, like, here's another one. deal on coronavirus bill will be hard to get done before election, but we'll keep trying. Says politics are getting in the way of coronavirus relief bill. I mean, yeah, I mean it's just disgusting. It's like you have Nancy Pelosi, you have Trump and Republicans. I mean, the politicians are just absolute shit show jokes these days. I mean back in the day during like the Civil War, right? Benjamin Franklin would be like with the way politicians act today, Benjamin Franklin would have took them all out and basically shot them to death. They would have shot them. They would have killed them because they're all corrupt and they do not work for the people. And back in those days, right, literally Benjamin Franklin was like, all right, let's just kill them all. That's literally what they would do. Now, I'm not saying that's what you should do, but they should all just be removed from office. And you should probably pick politicians at random. They could probably do a better job than these guys. So, don't have your hopes high for any sort of stimulus deal for right now. If Trump does get reelected, it will go through almost immediately. You can seriously, it will go through immediately because once that happens, then you're not. I mean, maybe it doesn't, but it will probably be much easier to get the stimulus deal done if Trump is elected rather than before the election. It seems likely that would be the case. But yeah, don't get your hopes high for any sort of stimulus deal right now. You got a bunch of people in politics that are just basically a bunch of children that can't do their job correctly. Okay. That being said, yeah, there's really not much more to it this morning, guys. We could touch a little bit on the dollar, a little bit on gold. Gold and silver are still going down a little bit because the dollar has held our 4-hour trending support. Remember how I said that the dollar has to break below that trend line in order to see more weakness, or else we should bounce away from it. And sure enough, we are bouncing away from it. So for right now, next target up on the dollar is going to be this 94.57 mark, and then you'll probably see some red candles there. Overall, 20-year perspective on the dollar, I still have it down. The 20-year trend on the dollar is down. So I'm a long-term holder of gold and silver, just anticipation that your United States dollar is going to fail. Your government continues to print money. They have no clue plan on how to stop printing money. If the government stopped printing money, your stock market would crash. So they're basically on a runaway train headed for a big ass cliff, and that's just basically it. We're on the train, drinking, smoking, partying, and singing "Kumbaya," holding hands until we fall off this cliff and die. So that's really what's happening. No other way to put it. So I hope you do own gold. I hope you do own silver. Hell, you might as well own cryptocurrency because cryptocurrency is better to have than the United States dollar. When I say that you are better holding gold and silver than the United States dollar and you're better owning cryptocurrency than the United States dollar, it makes me sound crazy because for the longest time, the United States dollar has been the reserve world currency and no one's ever. But again, the world is changing and it's going to happen. Okay. Digital wallets for cryptocurrency will be introduced to your credit unions. They will be introduced to your financial institutions. Um, Long story short, this is what's going to happen. They're going to pass a law. The laws are already being written for this. Okay, they're going to pass laws, and they're going to introduce cryptocurrency digital wallets to your bank accounts. Okay, and now they're not going to force you to switch your cash or switch over and use these digital cryptocurrency wallets. Okay, they're not going to force you to do that because government doesn't force you to do anything, right? They just make it so impossible that you basically end up having to choose that route. So this is what it will look like. They won't force you to use the digital cryptocurrency wallets. They're going to introduce them. And then instead of your bank account right now that gives you no return on your investment, right? You gain no interest, okay, on your investments in your savings account or your checking account. So your checking account and your savings account give you no return. They're going to create these digital cryptocurrency wallets to give you, say, 5% return. Who in the hell is going to keep their money in a business checking account or a personal checking or a personal savings or business savings that give you no return when you can switch that right over to a digital cryptocurrency wallet that gives you a 5% return? So they're basically going to incentivize you by giving you a return on your money to switch over to these new digital wallets. And that's how they're going to basically make the shift towards digital cryptocurrency or just digital currency world through kind of the banking system. You can probably just mark my words on that. It will probably happen that way. Okay. So government will have to incentivize you some way to take part in their new world order, because it's really hard to make people do anything when they're so used to doing something for so long, because people get stuck in their ways, and the only way to get them stuck out of their ways is to incentivize them and make it so that it makes no sense to be stuck in my ways anymore, and you'll shift over. Okay, so that's really all we have for you here today. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure you hit the thumbs up button before you go out for the YouTube algorithm, and then everything. I'll see you on the next day.